This is the artifact for Team 43 in relation to sprint number 1. We're building a web application for a food truck organization. This web application will extend to mobile applications. So in this first sprint, we did a lot of research into understanding different functions of like a web application and mobile application to make sure we can get it working. So I'll be going over some of those things today. Andy took the lead on working on the mobile application. One of the things he implemented was just getting an app started, and then he extended it to an API and some button functionality. In the example here on the Android emulator, we can do a search for like a Pokemon. And it reaches out to some public API to get information. So that will help us, since we have that, that'll help us communicate with our web application. So that's a huge success right there. And then second is Eric. He worked on a lot of HTML, CSS functionality. So he worked on some navigation menus and some like hover drop down menus, which will help us with our web application. He worked on creating some links so we can navigate between our pages. He did some styling with CSS so that we can incorporate something like that into our web application. And then we're also going to be dealing with like images of things, receipts and PDFs that we scan. So he worked on retrieving images and showing it in the web application. And then Thomas also worked on some HTML type functionality because we're going to need a lot of like selection criteria for different menu items on a food truck. So we're probably going to be using a lot of combo boxes to like sort through data, to retrieve different menu items and get recipes, and from there we'll have to create some calculations. So we have a good example of some combo boxes here. And then from there, once we get that data in there, we should be able to use different sorts of JavaScript to get those values from the combo boxes and reach out to APIs with that information, which is part of what Ethan helped us with. Ethan created some, let's see here, task 14 and 15. Ethan worked on some test APIs like to get data from a database or just from an API, not necessarily from a database, but we can connect it to a database later on. And then also he worked on some post requests. So this would be like authorizing a user's request to like insert data, update data, or whatever on the web application. And then also Ethan worked on, let's see here, he helped us with database interaction. So in task 8 and 9, go back. He helped us with creating tables and inserting values here. And then in task 9, here's the creation of tables. So understanding how our database works, these will be good reference points in the future of like, hey, this is how we create a table, this is how we query the table, and this is how we put information into the table. So this is going to help connect our web application through our APIs to our database, and then our mobile applications will use our APIs to get to the database as well. So this is really great stuff. And then finally, I worked on like just setting up a web server. Let's see here, I have an example. Okay, it's already started on port 8888. I'm connected to the database, and so that served up a page for us, and then we can log in. And over here, I have a hard-coded password of 1234, and I have it hashed. And that was another piece I worked on, is like how do we hash a password so we can securely store it to a database in case like somebody were to break in, they wouldn't be able to figure out what that password is. And if I enter something incorrectly here, so I put a 5 at the end, it's the comparison successful, but the passwords do not match because they don't hash the same. And then finally, I worked on some get and post requests under a demo page. You can insert data, update data, delete data, and then it's connected to a MySQL database to do that. And then we can also get data. So this was a stored value in a database. And that was basically our research phase. And from here, we'll start moving on into our project to develop a UI and start following our project deliverables and move on from the research phase. Thank you.